everyone. Welcome back to Poppin' In with Alexa and Molly. I'm Alexa.
I'm Molly.
And this week, we're talking about Sinners. Yeah.
Sinners.
The movie that is sweeping the nation and the globe. I think we talked about it a little bit last week. We gave some data and we gave some numbers.
Which are two of the same thing.
That I don't understand.
Yeah.
So there we go.
But we actually finally saw it, so we can actually talk about it.
Yeah, we can actually give you our opinions if anyone cares. Which if you're listening, I guess you do.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone does. I care about yours and you care about mine, and that's what matters. That's what this podcast is about.
It really is just us listening to each other. Like, that's it.
Yeah, it really is. It's just us chatting and chatting and
chatting. You guys
chatting.
can leave now.
Yeah. This is just a me and Molly moment. Yeah. But anyways, so I guess the new numbers, I think it's broken some records or it's come close to it.
I have never seen a movie be updated so much of what record they broke today. It's literally every day they're like, oh, the other day I saw one where it's this weekend 64% of women went to, it was about women and men going. I was like, okay, I didn't see challengers doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever really seen them really break down the scores.
Here's the thing. I don't think anyone expected it to do as well as it did. I was listening to a lot of interviews with the director, Ryan Coogler, and he wrote it too.
Yeah.
And in all of his interviews, people were saying, and he was like, yeah, hopefully it does okay. Hopefully, and it's just smashed. It made, I think $45.7 million recently, so far, according to the Hollywood Reporter, which is kind of crazy. I think it only had a 6% decrease between its first weekend and its second weekend, which is insane.
Yeah. Also, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith was re-released this weekend. Yeah. And I saw a funny tweet that was 2005, the Pope dies, Revenge of the Sith comes to theaters, and then it was 2025, the Pope dies, Revenge of the Sith comes to theaters.
I actually had a lot of anxiety because a friend of the pod, Emily Grosjean, posted something on her story where she was it was something the Pope dying is always a sign of recession.
Yeah.
And I'm just
there's been a lot of indicators.
I know, but the Pope dying feels like a big one.
And Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
But apparently, I don't know if it's, I still imagine Sinners is in number one, but apparently Revenge of the Sith is doing pretty well too.
Well, I mean, okay, we'll get into this when we get into it.
Yeah,
but the re-releases I think are doing pretty well. And so I think what's interesting about this, and I think this is great, is that this is completely new IP content. This is not a remake. This is
Sinners,
Sinners is not a sequel or whatever, and that it's doing so well. And I'm kind of hell yeah. Make your money, because I feel box offices, or not box office, but production studios need to be proven we don't have to constantly be remaking movies to make money. I saw the trailer before I watched Pride and Prejudice this week. It showed for Freakier Friday or something. It was the worst thing I've ever laid eyes on. I was why are we remaking this? Or doing a sequel to it?
Wait, hold on. I'm confused. You saw the trailer for Pride and Prejudice?
I saw the trailer for Freakier Friday.
Oh, okay.
Before Pride and Prejudice.
Okay, got it. So it looks atrocious, doesn't it?
It looks horrible.
Apparently, really quick, the plot is that so it's Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. And it's their Lindsay Lohan's daughter and her friend are the ones that swap bodies.
Because one of them's British.
Yeah, I'm just why do we need a friend here?
Why do we need a British person?
And I guess that's why. I think they just wanted a funny thing.
Yeah.
And I was that's not.
It just looks
so stupid.
I hate when sequels or remakes or whatever do the remakes. I understand where it's we're playing on the same exact tropes or whatever, but remakes where it's this is basically the same exact thing. Whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, Sinners is not either of those things.
No, and I think that's what drew a lot of people too, is just it's this original story.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
And also, we talked about this, I think, last week, but really, I saw no one really talking about it except for the trailers, when we saw previews for it at the movies. But other than that, I don't think it was, marketed until the reviews came out and people were, really just saying how great it was.
And what's crazy is, so I think it was a really great movie, but I'm surprised it's doing as well as it is.
Yeah.
For being, kind of like, there wasn't a lot of promotion for it.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of a random vampire movie.
You know what's interesting is I wonder how it would have been because, like, you know from just the preview that, like, Haley Steinfeld gets turned. I mean, sorry, spoiler, but, like, not really if you've seen the preview. We are going to be saying some spoilers.
Oh, so yeah, we're going to spoil this whole movie.
Yes, and we'll have the timestamps in our description, but also we post the timestamps on our Instagram story. Follow at Poppin and Podcast if you don't already.
Yeah.
But, so we're going to get into some spoilers. But if you saw the trailer, you would have seen Haley Steinfeld gets turned into a vampire. And I was kind of like, why did they show? I almost kind of wish they hadn't shown the vampire aspect in the trailer.
So, 2 thoughts on that. One, I saw a preview for it. It came on, like, I was watching something yesterday and it came on the TV. And the way that Haley Steinfeld, they show her with, like, all of the blood around, like, she like, looks like, I'll be honest, disgusting. And I'm like, I wonder how she feels where she's like, oh, that's my face in that promo for, like, a significant amount of it.
Well, do you remember the part in the movie where she, like, drools?
Yeah.
Well, apparently, like, that was just, I mean, this isn't that crazy, I guess. I don't know why people thought this was like that. It's obviously it wasn't CGI, but she had some kind of capsule in her mouth and she was actually really drooling that.
Oh, yeah. I think you would have to, like, there's no way, unless you're, like, you should see a doctor if you're drooling that much.
Well, people were like, no, people thought it was like CGI.
Oh, interesting.
Like, but it was actually her mouth.
What that mouth do?
She was like actually conjuring that up. But yeah, I do kind of wonder like what it would have been like. I saw this, people were saying this about like that Abigail movie too. Like, it would have been kind of funny to not know there was like a vampire aspect.
Yeah. And so, okay.
I would have seen this anyway, probably. Yeah.
Let's backtrack. So just like quickly to understand, like, it's set in 1932. I think it's Mississippi. I think it's called Clark County. I don't know. Doesn't matter that much. But, and it stars Michael B. Jordan in 2 roles, Smoke and Stack. They're twins. They come back from Chicago. They want to set up a juke joint that is just for the Black community in town. And they end up, like, collecting this kind of ragtag group of musicians. So you follow them throughout the day as they're doing that. And then at night, terror happens. And that's basically, like, if you don't want to know any spoilers, stop now. But I think what's interesting is I forgot it was a vampire movie twice in that movie.
I did too.
So it's definitely a 3-act movie.
I do it, like, that being said, I did just say, like, I wish they hadn't said that in the trailer. Actually, okay, here's why. No. This is where I was going with that. So while, yes, I wish that they hadn't said that they were vampires in the trailer, you do kind of forget because you get so immersed in the story. It's very good. The cinematography, first of all, is beautiful, especially the scenes when they're in the car. For some reason, I just like loved those scenes. I
was like, I'm kind of just vibing with this.
I was
like, world.
Yes. But I was going to say really quickly is like, you kind of know immediately then like, as soon as it all starts happening, you're like, oh, well, Haley Steinfeld gets turned into a vampire then. You know, like, that part was, like, definitely... Or even Michael B. Jordan.
So the thing about that is I forgot about that from the trailer, though.
I just specifically remember her, like, with the bloody face. Yeah. So I think,
that. Like, the way here's how I forgot about it. So, like, the first, like, I want to say 30 to 40 minutes, like, it's just them building up their juke joint, like, they're getting the musicians, whatever.
And you're getting to know the characters.
Yeah, and honestly, like, a lot of movies that do that, you're kind of, like, bored, like, they're setting up the exposition, but in this, you're just, like, so immersed in the world, it's pretty incredible.
Well, and there's also the music aspect to this movie. Yeah. The music is really good. Like, I've already listened to the soundtrack.
Oh, same. I listened, when you came to bring me my coat in the car afterwards, I was like, I wasn't expecting you to be there right then. I was, like, blasting the
I know, I came back to the car, and I told Matthew, I was like, Alexa was listening to the soundtrack in her car, and he was like, right now already? I was like, yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
And then, so that's happening, and I'm just, like, forgetting it's a vampire movie. And then they set up the juke joint, and what happens is Haley Steinfeld's character, like, or no, these 3 kind of random, one's an Irish guy, and 2 random townspeople show up at the juke joint, and they're like, we want to come in and play, invite us in. And then I was like, oh, right, this is a vampire movie.
And I forgot until, like... I forgot they have to be invited in. So, and the problem with that, like, so there's, like, a character named Cornbread who gets, because the problem is once this all starts happening, too, and we'll get into this more, but I just wanted to quickly bring this up. I'd forgotten that they have to be invited in, and the issue with that is, like, all of them are outside, all the vampires, because he's collecting vampires, like, a cult of vampires, essentially. And so people who are stuck outside are like, please let me in. And you don't know if they're just begging to be let in or if they're literally like Like, if they're asking to be let in because they are vampires, and they're like, you have to let me in. Or if they're, like, in trouble and they're like, let me in, I'm scared.
You know what I think is interesting is, so I was listening to this podcast discussing it earlier. It's like, they kind of never explain the fact, or, like, for a while, that you have to, like, ask a vampire in. But I think, like, most people know it. Like, you probably don't, you forgot.
I forgot, yeah.
But then, like, once they started doing that, where you kind of like, oh, right. Because here's why I know.
I was just stupid and didn't realize it until I saw something, like, later.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it during the movie.
The main reason I know that is from the Vampire Diaries.
No, it's a very common known fact. Also, like, and they really...
Known fact about vampires.
It is. Like, that's, like, the main... Also, garlic, which they really leaned into, like, all of the vampire tropes. Like, the garlic, the steaks, like...
And it's interesting because I think they call them a haint at first, because one of the characters is, she, like, does, like, hoodoo kind of stuff, and it's interesting because she's like, oh, no, it's not a haint, actually, they're vampires, but it's, like, so interesting to see how these, like, how vampires, like, just appear in these different cultures.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, also, did you know, speaking of vampires and this movie, that Ryan Coogler, who directed and wrote the movie, has the same manager as Robert Eggers?
No. Yeah. But I love that for them.
I know.
Well, because the two bad, those are the two bad bitches, Nosferatu and Sinners.
Yeah, yeah.
People were comparing them.
Yeah.
But
which, I mean, makes sense. They recently came out. They're both very good in different ways.
Exactly. But they're both bad bitches.
I learned that and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So I think what's interesting about this is, like, God, like, Ryan Coogler does it so well, where he really wanted to pull in a lot of these, like, different cultural aspects. And so when I was, like, listening to his interviews about it, he was talking about how, like, he grew up in California in an area that was, like, extremely diverse, and he was just thinking about the way that, like, all these diverse cultures have, like, their, like, separateness, but then their, like, come-togetherness.
Yeah.
And so he was inspired to write this movie because his favorite uncle had recently passed away, and, like, bluegrass kind of music was his favorite kind of music. So he started researching it, and he was like, it's interesting because, you know, the banjo is traditionally, like, an African instrument. Like, it comes from Africa. Yeah. But now we think about it mostly associated with, like, Appalachian bluegrass music, which has, like, a heavily, like, Irish influence. But then there's these influences from other things. And so there's this whole scene that I think actually, at first I wasn't into it, and then I was.
When she was outside with them? Sorry,
no,
continue.
But also yes.
Okay, because I have stuff to say about that.
But like, there's this one. It's the Michael G.
Oh my gosh! Why does that keep happening?
It's so hard. Oh, Michael Jordan.
That was a callback to last
comma
week.
B. I'm just gonna call him Mike.
No, don't do that.
Do you think he goes by Mike?
No. Well, maybe.
He doesn't. Actually,
maybe.
He doesn't seem like he would.
He's like, I go by Michael.
Yeah. But anyways, he plays their cousin, and he's, like, a fantastic artist. This, what is...
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan plays his cousin.
I was like, okay. We've lost the plot. Miles, isn't it Miles Caton?
Yeah, Caton? Miles Caton.
Caton?
And I think this is his first, like, big role.
Yeah, he played Sammy. Sammy Preacher Boy.
Yeah.
That was...
Oh, his nickname, yeah.
Yeah.
Where was I going with this? The scene.
Yeah.
So there's this whole scene where he's, like, playing at the juke joint, and it's, like, kind of... They hinted this in the beginning about, like, the ability of music to, like, attract demons and, like, transport people through time. And so suddenly you see, like, they're in 1932 Mississippi, and suddenly you see, like, this Prince-looking guy with, like, an electric guitar is there, and you're like, what's happening? And then...
I forgot about that scene.
Yeah, it's, like, really... It's kind of like the...
No, I just forgot until now, but during the scene I was like... I understood why it was there, but it was interesting.
It was at first when I saw the guy, I was like, "What is this?" And then as it kept going on, I kind of was vibing with it. And so, like, they literally show people like twerking, like, and they're like immersed within that time period as well. And then there's like a Asian couple there, and they show like their like cultural background of like their dancing and that sort of thing. And I think it's like kind of I personally think it's just like a representation of how all of this music comes from these specific cultures and combines together to create something like completely different, and we sometimes forget about that.
Well, and that's what Ryan Coogler was saying, because so he is like obsessed with Irish music. He pointed out that his first name is Irish, which I was like,
and his brothers.
Yeah, Ryan. And he said, I think it's not known how much crossover there is between African-American culture and Irish culture and how much that stuff is loved in our community, which is kind of what you were touching on before.
Yeah.
But that's like, I think that was like one of his things with this was just, and that's when, and we'll kind of get into this more, but Jack O'Connell's character, his name's Remick, he like kind of points that out is like, he comes in and is sort of, it's almost like the fusion of like the different cultures, but they're for the same. And also I wanted to say Sammy's voice was amazing. Miles, is it Caton? Probably.
It's
his
so
voice
incredible.
was incredible.
When he
really was like
Michael B. Jordan's face. I've really thought about it that time. His face when they're in the car and he starts singing and he's like, I feel like that was also my face in the theater.
Yeah.
I was like, oh!
It was like, it was so, I don't know how old he is in real life, but he's supposed to be kind of like a teenager or something in the movie.
Yeah, I think he's maybe like 20.
Yeah, but it was like the voice of just like an old person, like an older person. It was like such a mature, just like
wild,
deep voice. Like it was just so amazing. But yeah, so one of the things that I thought, so one of the scenes that was so interesting was the scene where Haley Steinfeld goes outside, because I guess, so we kind of touched on this a little bit, but the whole thing,
that's the second time I remembered, right, there's vampires, because
when
that first they come to the door and they're like, let us in, and they basically say no, and then like a whole bunch of other stuff like randomly kind of happens or whatever for maybe like 20 minutes, and then Haley Steinfeld's like, oh, you probably need money, they have money, maybe I should go out there and talk to them. And then she does, and I'm like, right, vampires.
Yeah.
There's vampires outside. I forgot.
God. For those listening, Alexa almost knocked over her wine.
But it didn't.
That was actually upsetting to watch.
That was upsetting to feel inside my chest.
That was like really, really stressful and scary. I didn't like that.
That was also the face I made when he started singing.
Faced with the vampire. But she goes outside, and like there's just this it's a long scene. It's almost like a 2-minute scene where they're all three. Oh, by the way, the girl, do you know who the girl was?
No.
It was, her name is Lola Kirk. She's Jemima Kirk's sister. And
I
Jemima
could see that.
From Girls,
Jessa.
Yeah. But she, whenever I see her, I've seen her in other things too, and whenever I see her in anything, she is so creepy. Like, she always plays such an unnerving character.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that in that family line.
But the three of them, it goes back and forth between the three of them playing and singing, and it's just like so, the tension building in that scene is so...
Yeah.
I do just like want to say, like, Jack O'Connell is an amazing actor.
Oh, yeah. Also, I want to say it's so funny because when they first show up on scene, like, again, it's like these three kind of random white people / vampires, but they don't know that at the time.
And also, just to really quickly give a background, there is, like, obviously the Klan aspect to the story. Yeah. And so immediately everyone's like, are you with the Klan? Like, Jack O'Connell's character's like, sir, like, no.
Yeah. It's like, I actually am way older.
But,
he's like, I'm actually with the Crusades.
Well, he is. So that's the thing, is he's literally hundreds of years old, because one of the things he says in the movie, and this was also another thing that, like, another reason they used Irish people as the vampires and Irish music is because Ryan Coogler was sort of making the connection between, like the colonization.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like he felt like the vampires had this, as Irish people had the shared experiences of oppression, like faced by the African American communities as well.
Yeah, which is interesting because they talk about that. This is so random, but also in Outlander, so Jamie comes from Scotland to America and he sees like how they treat like the Native American people as quote unquote savages, and he like really relates to them and feels for them because like that's how like the British treated Scottish people. But so it's interesting. It is interesting.
My only thing, and forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn, but are they really the same thing?
I mean, they like wait, are you talking about like Scottish and...
No, I'm saying like, can we really compare the plight of the African American community to Irish people?
No, I don't know if it's like no. I would probably say no.
The comparison is just interesting.
The comparison is interesting. I would say maybe like some of the undertones are similar.
That's kind of that's what like Jack O'Connell's character says to them, is he's like comparing, he's just like, he's the one who talks about the colonization of Ireland, which like makes him 100, because he says he experienced it. So he's like,
have you heard of the Troubles?
Yeah, he's like, I get what you guys are going through, because like I was just kind of like,
he's like, have you seen Dairy Girls?
The same thing. But that's when you're like, oh shit, he's like hundreds of years old.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, when they first come in, they're like, we want to play at your juke joint, and they're like, okay, play us something, and they play the song, and it's just like so much like we go from like this kind of like Black culture like bluesy type of like people are dancing to them being like singing about picking the robin clean, and it's just like
which I have an appreciation for both.
Yes, I do. It's just so funny.
I did vibe with the Irish music too.
Oh yeah, when they were like all the vampires are dancing and they're all singing the Rocky Road to Dublin, I'm like,
that was the scariest scene to me. No, turn me.
I want to dance in that.
No, the scene where they first show them, it kind of like. The only thing I can truly compare it to is the scene in The Birds where you, like, realize, like, how many birds are suddenly there. It's, like, when they open the door and they see, like, because, like, he is now collecting vampires, like, the Infinity Stones. Like, he is, like, it's, like, this literal cult, like...
Wow, you made a lot of references in this
I know, and I'm about to make another. I'm just going to compare them to ants. Like, it almost looked like ants. Like, they were all, like, in this random, like, circle singing. It, like, scared me,
It's how I picture any music festival in Ireland.
Right. And, like, everybody in the theater was like, oh, my God. Like, because it was just, like, suddenly so many Irish people.
But they were having a blast.
They were having a blast.
No, it wasn't Irish people.
Vampires.
Yeah.
They were so scary, though. I did not enjoy that. I didn't like the formation of that.
Yeah, it was very interesting. But I also, so, like, some of the through lines I really loved. Like, so, again, Michael B. Jordan plays two characters. A lot of people are commending him on, like, the differences between those characters. And maybe there were, but I'm like, if one hadn't been wearing a red hat and the other blue, like, I would not know which one
was like, meaner than the other.
Which one? Stack?
Well, the one that survived.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Like,
he sort of was, except for Haley
Steinfeld. Because I was surprised that his character was the one that survived and that the other one turned into a vampire so quickly, because I felt like he was, like, more likable than the other one. I felt like the other one was, like, a little... Like, I can't remember which one was, like, named which.
So Stack is the one that became a vampire.
Okay, so I felt like Stack was nicer than Smoke.
Really? I felt the opposite.
Smoke was, like, kind of, like... mean. Remember he like slapped Sammy and like he was like.
But Smoke was the one who I think. Okay, so also I think it's interesting. They really like. I think a lot of these historical movies don't really depict money in like an interesting way, and they were like literally like, I'll pay you 10 cents if you sit out here and watch this car, or like when the guy comes and he's like, okay, a beer's 50 cents, and he's like, I only have 30 cents, but here's like my plantation coin, and that's so. Yeah. The reason I think Smoke is nicer, and partially because he has this, like, this woman who he's in love with, who, like, they had a child who died together, and she's also working at the juke joint, and they're like, he's worked just as hard for that money, even though I know you don't want to accept it as, like, regular U.S. money. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, like, we should accept it.
Yeah. And they're both obviously, like, the hero like, they're both, like, main characters. But I just was saying, like, in the... I don't know, maybe I'm just remembering it wrong now. For some reason, I just thought the other one was...
It is really tough. I mean, I could be remembering... I don't...
Yeah. No, you're right, because he was the one who was with, Smoke was... Oh, God.
Do you want to hear how stupid I am? I didn't realize until today. Like, everyone kept saying, like, oh, we've heard of the Smokestack twins or whatever. And I was like, what a cool nickname. And I realized their nicknames are Smoke and Stack. Yeah. That's why they're the Smokestack twins.
Yeah.
I just was like, that's a separate nickname from Smoke and Stack. I don't know. That's like so stupid.
Twins. No, yeah, that's.
And I really love the different depictions of their relationships.
So Wumi Masaku, played Annie, and Annie was the one that was with Smoke.
Yeah, okay. Smoke. And they just have like a really like I think what really.
Did you know she's British in real life?
Yes, actually, I've seen her in other things.
I had no idea.
And when I was watching, I was like, what have I seen her in? And now I was
watching the cast interviews after, and she had a British accent, and I was like, whoa. She was in Lovecraft Country. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did watch Lovecraft Country.
She was in Loki. Oh, Country. I'm so...
You're good.
I said County.
Maybe that's what I know her from.
Yeah, she was in Loki. Okay, I remember. You know what, as well? So the other... You know what, as well? Let me see. The other main actress in it, Jamie Lawson. Yes, I believe she played
Perlene.
Yes, and she plays the mayor, which I don't think you've seen this movie, but she played the mayor in the Batman, like with Robert Pattinson.
Oh, interesting.
So she's the mayor of Gotham.
Huh. But anyways, I think like what makes both Smoke and Stack like a likable character is their relationships to other people.
Yeah.
Like, at first they just seem like hardcore, like, kind of gangsters. And it's interesting because they also are in, like, Jim Crow South. And there's so many, like, they literally drive past, like, a chain gang. And there's this whole story in the car. They pick up this older musician where he talks about, like, you know, when he was younger, they played blues music for these white people and they got like a bunch of money, but then the guy he was playing with, like, the Klan found him, said that he stole it and raped a woman and then just hung him. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like it, like, watching that. And then also what was the movie from the Oscars, The Nickel Boys, mm-hmm. where it's just like, you know, obviously I'm a white woman in 2025, so I, like, sometimes these things are just, like, such a shock, but it's just, like, yeah, living in Mississippi in 1932 is just, like, you might die. Like, if you are a black person. Mm-hmm. Like, it would be, every day is, like, treacherous.
Yeah, and one thing that was interesting in that scene that really stood out to me, I just remembered, was when he's telling that story. I thought this was, like, I don't know if you could hear it, but it was, like, a really interesting, like, sound design mm-hmm. thing where you could hear, he's like telling the story and you could hear, like, you could hear the story as mm-hmm. he's telling it, so like you can hear the hanging basically mm-hmm. and like him yelling and like the man yelling, and like it was just like a really powerful way to like show that without showing it. I just thought that was really interesting. Like, it was kind of jarring. And
this isn't like the first act where, like, again, you forget this movie is about vampires, and they do so much that just like touches on these little parts of culture, that it's like, it's not like digging deep into it or like whatever, but you're just like seeing these little things. I think Haley Steinfeld's character is really interesting because literally the guy, like, Preacher Boy's character, she walks up and she says some of the most dramatic lines, like her first lines.
She says some wild lines.
Yeah, and she walks away and he's like, are we sure she's white? And she admits that I think it's like her
It's like her grandparent.
Yeah.
Her grandpa is mixed.
Her grandpa's black, I think. Yeah. So she is technically mixed, and apparently so is Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, she's 1/8 black.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a grandparent.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think, like, what I was saying is, like, the Smokestack twins, I think their relationships with, like, the women in their lives are really interesting, and I think it makes them more, like, likable as characters, and then also to see how much they care for their, like, little cousin.
Yeah, I liked that relationship.
Yeah.
It was just, like, a very beautiful movie, mm-hmm. Like, visually beautiful movie. Again, the music was really good, but there was just so much to it, because like we were just saying, like, you forget it's a horror movie until like halfway through when the horror starts, but there's also like other elements of horror in it, like the historical aspect to it and like what's going on in that time. So it's very interesting. I saw a lot of people it was kind of interesting because I feel like I saw a lot of people comparing it to a Jordan Peele movie, but I think that's sort of interesting because I yes, it is a horror movie featuring a predominantly black cast, but like I just wonder if like I think people are just saying that because it's like, you know, there's just not a lot of movies with, you know, written and directed by a black man, and then giving just all of that having that experience in the movie. So I think it's just like, it's like easy to compare it, but it's like, I think that's just shows that we just don't have that much.
Because I think Ryan Coogler, like, said he had some inspiration from like The Twilight Zone or from like, he loves like classic, I think, horror movies. Yeah. And it's interesting, I was listening to this interview, he was like, I don't really like defining movies by genre because like historically genre has also been a way to like create racial divides among people. It'd be like, you know, a white guy sings this song and it's the blues, and a black guy sings it and it's like something else apparently, but it's the same song, aka Elvis. And I think that's really interesting because like it is horror, but it's also like a Southern Gothic. It's also like it's
a period piece.
It's like it's
a historical
actually
drama.
Randomly very funny.
Yeah, like, comedy.
It's really good.
It is. It had so many genres, and I do agree. I think if it's probably defined as like a horror. Actually, you know what it's defined as, and this kind of threw me off a little bit? It's a horror action. And I was like, I don't know if I'd call this an action movie. Maybe a little bit, but like I would say just like it's a period film.
Yeah.
Like,
and I do think like, so I think every movie he's made, Michael B. Jordan has been in it. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like David Lynch and Isabella Rossellini at one point or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think they were married also, but they had a relationship. I don't think Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan do. But I think like it's just very interesting because I do notice when you have like the same actors and directors working together a lot, the art does seem to have like a different level of depth to it that I just really like each time. Like I haven't seen actually any of the Wakanda movies. Or Black Panther. And everyone's like, you haven't seen them? Like, blowing a gasket. And I'm like, I just don't watch Marvel movies, but...
You should see the first one, though, at least, because it's just different. It is just, like, an artistic movie, too. Yeah. I still remember seeing it in the movies, and it just felt different than a Marvel movie. Yeah. And I think there was just so much he added so much depth, and especially with Michael B. Jordan's character, actually. He ended up being sort of the villain, but, like, a villain with, like, a very... Like, it's just, like, there's a lot of depth to that movie. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, it's, like, so interesting because it is hard to make those comparisons because the Black cinema is out there, but it's just, like, not as promoted or as popular. Like,
right. And that's where I was kind of going with, like, the Jordan Peele thing where it's, like, you know, somebody at work was saying, you know, isn't it, like... Is that a Jordan? He asked, "Is it a Jordan Peele movie?" And we were kind of like, "No, it's Ryan Coogler. Mm-hmm. He did like the Black Panther movies or whatever." And he was like, "Oh, I thought it was a Jordan Peele movie." And it's just like, but that kind of just goes to show that there just really isn't a lot of that out there. And so I think it's just easy for people to just assume that it's a Jordan Peele movie or to compare the two.
Yeah.
And I think this movie coming out is really going to open up hopefully open up a lot more like of just original movies in general. I'm hoping that it really shows the production companies that this is the kind of movie that people really want to see, obviously.
Yeah. I'm hoping it opens up the door to a lot more like Black cinema that is like promoted and like funded as heavily. That's not just like Tyler Perry or like that's hitting the mainstream, because it also reminds me of like when Barbie came out and that was such a blockbuster hit and people were like, wow, like if we make movies for women, maybe we will make money. And it's like, yeah, if you make movies for the Black community, then it's like you can make money. Like it's not gonna, you know, there's this stigma that like Black movies don't do well internationally, and I think like this movie is showing that it's like that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
So the main like villain, the main vampire guy, the Irish guy, his name is Remick. And I think it's interesting because so they talk about in the movie how like certain music will like draw evil to you because they like want to be a part of it. And so Ryan Coogler said he got the inspiration from like a Marvin Gaye song where he was trying to like think about like what is this villain's motivation, and it's like this one lyric where it's like I really want you, but I also want you to want me. And you can kind of see that like in Remick's thing where the whole thing is he has so many opportunities to kill Sammy because his whole thing is he wants Sammy.
Yeah.
Like all the other people, whatever, they are like an addition, but he wants Sammy. He has so many opportunities to kill Sammy, but he wants to convince Sammy. He wants Sammy to be like, yes, I want to join the dark side.
Yeah.
Which I think is so interesting.
The one thing that everybody should know, and everybody always says this about this movie, is like stay for the credits.
Yeah.
And apparently, so there is like an after credits scene.
I didn't see it.
Well, because we didn't stay.
Oh,
we stayed for the mid credits, but because we were with a group and one of us, shout out Eric, friend of the pod, was there. He had already seen it, so like he knew that like there was like a mid credits scene. And, like, this is spoiler again. Like, hopefully you're skipping ahead if you haven't seen this. Yeah. But Buddy Guy plays the the older version of Sammy. And this is, like, I think it's in the 90s at this point.
Yeah, which I forgot that it's the 90s. So they come dressed...
Like, Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld, who are now vampires and are still alive and still their same age, come in dressed in, like, peak 90s outfits.
Yes. But I thought it was, like, 2025, and it just reminded me of, like, that hello, fellow youth
kind
of thing where they're just like, we're not vampires at all.
It was a little, like, obnoxiously 90s, but I was like, maybe that is actually how people dress? I don't know.
Maybe. I guess if you're like a wealthy hot vampire.
Well, it almost like looked like they were just like, yes, we are from the 90s, you know? But maybe that is actually genuinely how people dress.
When he like slams the money on the ground and on the table, and you see he's got this like what do you call it, where it's like the ring that goes across all your fingers and it spells out the word stack. I love that.
Oh, for a second I was like he stacked with money. It's like, no, that's his name.
Yeah. I was curious. I was like, babe. I wonder what their real names are.
Smoke and Stack.
Their Christian names.
Stackington.
Smokely.
Smoke Tholomew. I don't know.
Oh. Wait, what were you gonna say?
That Buddy guy played the older version of Sammy, and so they come back to visit him. He's now like a famous musician.
Yeah.
And that also was very moving when he played touching. A song. Yeah. Gosh, I don't remember where I was going with all that.
Sorry.
No, it's just, but anyway, there's a whole theme of Lola Kirke does not look like Jemima Kirke as I'm looking at her. Sorry, I just was thinking about it.
Huh, I think in the eyes.
Anyway, I don't know where I was going with all that, but the music is a very integral part of this movie.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job. Like, you can tell that, like, the music production is just, like, a love letter to this type of music.
And I think Ryan Coogler also said that, like, the point of him being of Jack O'Connell's character being Irish is just like to show like the timelessness of him in a juke joint in the 30s in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting, but
what I think is interesting is that they show like the Native American tribe of that area like briefly, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't like get into that more.
I'm trying to remember that.
They go to like before Remek's character like kills the people, like turns them into vampires at their house. They go to warn them.
Right. They're
and
coming,
then they also show them kind of like on the horizon at one point, just kind of like watching what's happening or something like that.
There probably was more to that. The thing is, it was kind of a long movie, but it didn't feel very long until like maybe like the last 20 minutes or so. It started to feel a little long, but I really did not think it felt like it's like about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it did not feel like that. It was really good.
But yes, I think maybe there was probably more to that they just that he didn't explore more or something, or I don't know. But yes, also the scene where they first show Remek is him showing up to the house to be like the Native Americans or whatever. But he gets like almost like dropped into the scene. Like, if you remember, like, they literally show him in front, like, he almost just, like, falls in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And, like, I took it as, like, at first when I saw it, and then I'm going to get into what I want to say after this, but at first when I saw it, it was like, oh, he's just, like, somebody threw him out of a car. That's, like, what I took it as, sort of. And then I realized you find out that these vampires fly.
Yeah.
Like Twilight. Like, it was so, so colon-coded.
There was, like, 2 times that everyone, like, kind of gasped, but you were laughing during it.
Yeah, they're fly, because it's when they first,
it scared
when
me.
they first attack Haley Steinfeld, and it's after the whole, like, singing thing, and it's, like, a really tense scene, and she finally, like, walks away. He flies to her. Like, he literally, like, lifts up in the air and just, like, boom. Like, and so it was just funny. It was so shocking. I didn't know he flew. But he flies. I realized, like, he didn't fall. Like, he probably was, like, flying and then just, like, dropped to the ground. So I just thought that was an interesting thing.
Yeah.
It was just, like, a very, cinematically, certain scenes just, like, stick in your head.
Yeah, I could tell that really got you.
No. I'm saying, like, when he fell in front of the house. Like, that scene, I was just like, that was really good.
The second time I gasped was when Sammy, like, runs out of the building. It's, like, not as high.
Yeah,
it's higher than he thinks. And the way, how far he falls, I literally was like, oh,
I know. That was shocking.
Yeah. But, I also just want to say that this is the hottest I think I've ever seen Michael B. Jordan. And obviously, I remember seeing him for the first time in Friday Night Lights and being like, that's a hot man.
What? He was in Friday Night Lights?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know how
I think he's in, like, season 2 or 3.
Oh, okay. I never watched that show. So I think the first time I saw him was actually in Black Panther.
Really?
And the thing is, like, I know you're saying this might also maybe be the hottest I've seen him, but, like, he was hot in Black Panther. There's,
like, a scene at the end where he's playing, like, one of the roles, and one of the twins, and he's just, like, shooting a gun, and he just got, like, some blood like, he's just, like, wearing, like, a white tank top, and like has a cigarette dangling out of his mouth, and I'm just like,
yeah,
hot.
Yeah. Which one do you think was hotter?
Whichever one that was. Smoke?
If he had a cigarette, then maybe smoke.
Which also, Chris, did make me laugh. We were talking about, like, yeah, like, he should be nominated for an Oscar. And he was like, well, should he be nominated twice?
I know.
Do you think this will get nominations? I think it should for some. I think horror is getting more recognizable.
Okay, I was just going to say, here's the thing. Here's how I truly feel, if I'm being honest. I don't think originally this would have gotten nominated, but I think because of the attention it got, it is now going to be nominated. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been originally, but I do think it would have, like other horror movies, been maybe overlooked.
Yeah.
But then, like, now I think because of, like, all the... I gotta be honest, though, I don't know if I think it should be nominated for, like, any acting necessarily. I think Michael B. Jordan's a good actor, but he didn't, like, his acting wasn't, like, particularly amazing to me in this. But I do think, like, Ryan Coogler should get nominated for, like, Best Director and maybe Best Screenplay.
Yeah.
And then also, like, maybe the movie, too.
Yeah. You know what I think is interesting about the screenplay is also I was reading about, I think Ryan Coogler, like, in his contract, he made it a requirement that after 25 years, like, the IP for this comes back to him.
Really?
Yeah, which is, like, not a very common thing. And someone was saying it's probably because, like, this whole movie is basically about, like, the appropriation of Black culture.
Yeah.
And, like, he was like, I only plan to do it with this movie.
Remake. I'm just kidding.
Well, he was like, I only plan to make that stipulation with this movie.
Okay.
And it's because, like, I think it's so important to him and so, like, close to him. And it's also just like, yeah, don't appropriate my films.
Yeah. Do you think it should be nominated for anything else?
I do. I think music. I think sound,
music, like, and cinematography maybe.
Yeah, I think the cinematography was pretty astounding.
Did you think, like, acting though it should have been?
I don't think there's anyone that, like, stood out to me.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Like, if it would be anyone, it would be Michael B. Jordan or the Sammy kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say Miles. Why? Yeah. He looks like a young little child in that photo.
I don't think he has, like, any other real
I've never
credits.
seen him in anything else, I don't think. But that's what I was saying. I think I could see the movie getting nominated. I think, like, I think Ryan Coogler could get nominated. But, we'll see. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then also I was gonna quickly say mini movie assignment. I'm assigning you Black Panther, since we're talking about it, and you've never seen it, and I just think you would enjoy it.
Are we doing other movie assignments?
No, I'm giving you a mini movie assignment.
Well, I'll give you a mini one. It's the whole movie.
It, like, what I mean by mini is, like, it's not a lot of pressure. Like, if you don't get to it, that's fine. Okay. I won't kill you, but...
Oh.
Which
that was on the table.
Yeah, if we don't watch it, we get to kill each other.
Okay.
I didn't know. Sorry you didn't know that. I thought you knew that.
When I agreed to that. Wow. Okay, it's scary.
Actually,
this is the horror movie.
I might be stopping movie assignments. Yeah. I might be pulling the plug.
Was it that bad?
No, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later.
I'm gonna cry.
No, don't cry. It's okay. Anyway, movie. Oh my god, you actually look like you're about to cry. Please stop.
I have, like, list of ones that I think. Oh my god.
Okay, it's not okay. I'm slightly joking.
So, like, speaking of, like, the Oscars, we have an interesting update. So this actually occurred, like, literally right...
2 minutes after we stopped recording last
yes,
week.
Chris was like, did you guys talk about the Oscars on the podcast? And we were like, no.
No, I had seen it. I opened, literally after you stopped recording, I got on my phone and I saw it. And I was just like, damn.
So the update is basically that now for, like, the people who vote in the Oscars, it's required that you have to watch all the movies that you're voting on.
Also, can I just say, like, multiple people, too, asked, like, did you guys talk about the requirements on the podcast? And I was like, no.
We're getting to it. We're only two girls. We're just
like, why
girls.
didn't you guys tell us earlier?
Yeah.
Guys, live update us during the episode. Well, you don't know when we're recording.
Anyway. I never check my phone. Literally, Chris could be like, I'm on the side of the road right now. Guess you're going to stay there.
Popping in comes first.
Yeah, good luck with that.
But yes, the Oscars did.
But yes, back to the Oscars.
I was gonna read the requirements. Hold on a second.
It's basically that if you vote in a category, you have to have watched all the films in that category. And I think how they're tracking it is basically like some kind of system where they can see if you've seen it.
It's like a streaming platform that they're gonna, like, monitor them through.
And
apparently
kind of Black Mirror.
Well, I think this should have been required the whole time.
I know. Well, multiple people, like, were talking about this, and they were like, is that not the requirement? And I'm like, no, that's how Adrian Brody got Best Actor.
That's how Amelia Perez got as many as it did.
Yeah, it would not. I think this is the best thing they've ever done. If I had to watch The Brutalist, so does everyone voting.
No, it's just kind of bullshit that it never was before. It's not even like the best thing they like just it should have been a requirement. Kirsten Dunst once did an interview, and like this like what everybody kept bringing it back to, because she's like the only person to have said this. But somebody asked her like, "Oh, did you see this specific movie?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm a member of the Academy. I've seen all the movies." Like she's the only, like, I'm not saying she's the only one, but she is one of the few, I guess, who does dedicate her time to watching all of the stuff, as you should, as a member, an esteemed member of the Academy.
And you know what? I think maybe this will encourage directors to, like, not have 4.5-hour movies.
Yeah, because people will be like, I'm not watching that.
Yeah, and I'm curious if it's going to cut down on the amount of people voting, because, like, I mean...
So, here's the thing, though. Okay, so if they don't watch it through the streaming platform, like say it's not showing on that or whatever, they have to go to a festival and watch it, and they have to put down on a form, they have to fill out a form where and when they watched it. Like it is like strict.
As it should.
But somebody did point out, they were like, maybe they could just have people in certain categories. Like if somebody didn't want to watch like best animated feature, which they should, but like if they didn't, then maybe they should just split up the people into different categories.
Like who's voting?
Yeah, like they could have like a dedicated panel for like best documentary or whatever. I think they should watch all of them. I'm just saying.
I think they should, but also maybe they shouldn't, because then each year you're probably going to get the same people. Like it's probably better to have like a wider, more objective audience.
No, yeah.
But if they're not watching them, then that's the problem. Like,
it was so crazy to me when we found that out. I was just like, what? Why is this? So who's watching? Because obviously more people...
That's why I was like, we should be voting. We've seen almost all of them.
Yeah, what makes these people like experts on something, on the matter, if they're not even watching all of them?
Right, exactly. Like there's so many things in the past couple of years where I'm like you can just tell sometimes by the voting where it's like, you didn't watch this. It's definitely like you're voting for this person because it's like their connections in Hollywood.
Well, yeah, because it's campaigning. But what's bullshit is like, you were chosen to be a member of the Academy.
Yeah.
And you're not even taking the time. Like, that's an honor.
Yeah.
I would be honored to be on there.
I feel like a lot of people, like, I feel like, and sorry if anyone from Hollywood is listening to this.
Wait, do you get chosen? How does that work?
I think you apply, but you have to have, like, someone, I think it's almost like, what is it, like, we have to have, like, a reference type of thing?
Let's put it this way, like, not everybody is a member of the Academy, so if you are, why wouldn't you just watch all the movies?
I think it's one of those things, like, for example, I was a member of the Jane Austen Society of North America, and I don't know why, because I didn't do anything. Like, I didn't contribute, I didn't go to any of the events, I didn't do anything, but I was just like, but I want to be in this thing to say I'm in it.
And to go to, like, events and stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying for them, I'm sure that's what it is. So... Anyway, that's our take on it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it changes the results. Because again, there's so many times like where I'm just like, Emilia Perez, Adrian Brody. I'm like, y'all didn't fucking watch these movies. Put some time. Be Zoe Kravitz just a little bit. Take a lesson from her, who watches 4 movies a day every day.
Do you think that was a hyperbole? Like, do you think she really watches 4 movies a day?
Again, I think about this. I'm not kidding, once a week I think about that quote from him, because I'm like, that would stress me out just trying to decide what movies I'm going to watch.
It also just kind of gives off lazy a little bit. Like, you're watching 4 movies a day.
I think it gives off, I'm like, when I do that, I'm in a depressed state. Like, and no shame to depression. I'm a poster child for it. But I'm like, I think maybe you should, like, that's crazy.
That's why I was like, there's no way that's accurate. Like, maybe she watches a movie a day.
Yeah.
But to him, he's like, you're watching 4 movies. You know, like, people are dramatic.
True. How are they?
How are the 2 of them?
Yeah.
I don't believe they're together anymore.
Oh, damn.
It's
probably because he outed her.
I could have fully made that
She was
up.
like, wow, you told the whole world about my movies?
Also, speaking of, like, people who are together, can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me just fact check this, because what if I'm not
Oh, I think I know what you're going to bring up.
No, you don't.
Oh.
Because I
You don't know
yeah, they split in October. Oh, sad. I wonder
who.
Sorry, I had to fact check really quick. I was getting to it. Do you know who BJ Novak is?
Yes.
Okay, obviously. So, did you know he's dating, or potentially allegedly dating, I don't know if you know who this is, but for those listening, if you do know who this is, Delaney Rowe. She's a TikToker. You know
I love her. I watch all her TikToks. I did not know they were together.
I watch her TikToks too. Some people hate her, but I think she's very funny.
Wait, that is crazy.
She's the insufferable movie character.
Yes, and she does a great job. That is crazy. She used to be a professional chef.
Really?
Yeah, I really know her.
Wow. She's very funny. But they are dating, and apparently he's dated a lot of people. Like, he dates a lot of, like, 20-something-year-olds. But this is alleged. I mean, they've just been seen together, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it today. Yeah. Specifically today. Like, that they're apparently dating. And
that's crazy.
I guess I just kind of wanted to...
him and Mindy Kaling's baby?
I just wanted to bring that up because I wanted to talk about... I want to know the timeline. I just want to know the timeline of Mindy and BJ. Like, that's all I've ever... Yeah. If I had to ask... Okay, question of the week.
Oh, God, you're pointing.
Question of the week.
Wow.
I might post this after just because I want to hear people's takes rather than, like, I won't even talk about it on the podcast. I just want to know for myself. But if you could ask a celebrity any question, what would you ask them?
That's a great question.
Thank you. And they have to tell the truth.
I guess it would depend on the celebrity because obviously BJ Novak and Mindy Kaling, I'd be like, are those your children? Did you have the children together?
Did we already ask this question now that I'm thinking about it?
I probably asked you.
Oh, you asked, like, what would you ask Kate Middleton or something? Didn't you say...
I think I asked you what song you would play for an alien.
No, you didn't ask me that at all. You asked me... I think we did talk about, like... Because I remember specifically saying I would ask about, like, Kate and Meghan's relationship. But did we... So why do I kind of feel like we asked this question?
See, and that's why it, like, depends on the celebrity. So...
But I think I would genuinely ask Mindy Kaling what her relationship timeline with BJ Novak is, and is her baby... Not that it's up to... Yeah. Like, this is not...
It's not our
for
business.
Me to know, but I just...
but it does haunt me, you know?
It haunts me.
Like, I want it... Like, the things that are unknowable are the worst for me.
And also, sometimes I just, like... I wonder what he's like as a person. Like, I'm just very curious about them.
I think I would ask... Okay, any celebrity in the world, I would ask them, do you ever wish you weren't a celebrity? That's boring.
That's so boring. I don't mean to be rude, but that was really...
It sounded like it was going to be really good when it was coming out of my mouth, and then I said it, and I was like, that's really... Like, do you ever regret fame?
Okay.
Or...
I would just be asking some specific... Because remember, they have to tell you the truth.
That's why it depends on the celebrity. Give me a celebrity.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck?
Yeah, because there's so many you could go with that.
I would ask him if it's ever weird that his daughter looks exactly like his wife that he cheated on.
What? Huh?
Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner?
That he cheated on with?
No.
What?
Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck's daughter looks exactly like Jennifer Garner.
Oh, you're saying so she, like, haunts him or something?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I would ask him if he's ever hooked up with Matt Damon.
Oh, that's better. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But that's a good question.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like, with Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak, I just want to know, like, do you think they're just soulmates? Like, I think they're just soulmates. But not in a good way. I'm not saying that's a good thing.
I don't know. I think if they were soulmates... Wouldn't they be together?
But they seem to always, like, revolve around each other.
Yeah. Maybe, here's the thing. I think you can be soulmates without having to be romantic soulmates.
Well, but also I think you can be soulmates, but it's, like, it doesn't have to be healthy. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a good... No, I'm saying, like, I'm saying it's not necessarily a good thing. Like, they may just always be... But I'm speaking on them. I don't know them.
Yeah, I don't know them.
So maybe
That's so crazy that he's dating Delaney Rowe.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are not a gossip podcast.
Let me say actual words.
Yeah.
I would go to an influencer conference, like a Comic-Con influencer conference, just to meet, like, 2 or 3 of my favorite influencers. One is Corporate Natalie.
Who's that?
Corporate Natalie. She does, like, funny... I probably sent you a billion of them.
Oh, like corporate videos.
Corporate things. And then my other one is Kat Strickler, and she became friends with another influencer that I follow, and they're, like, best friends now, and they post all these videos together, and I'm like, that's crazy.
I do like seeing influencer crossovers, like, people that I, like,
it feels like the Jimmy Neutron, Timmy Turner episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. I also do really want to know, not that I care about either, like any of these three people, I don't really care about, but I care about this drama a little bit, is like the Justin Bieber, Hailey Bieber, and Selena Gomez thing. Like, I just want to know what is like real and what's not.
That is so we talked about it when Emily was on here, and I hadn't seen that 7-part series. That 7-part series is kind of crazy. Here's the thing. I get mad that no one's talking about the way that Justin, like, talks to Hailey Bieber.
No.
Whether he loves her or not, like, he talks to her like
he's
trash.
awful to her. And also, that's what I was saying before, and the thing is, people pit the two of them to each other. He's the crazy, like, the truly crazy one.
Yeah, and, like, he probably was
situation.
abused. Like, he probably has, like, so many issues.
Yeah.
And I think, like, Hailey Bieber, it's just like, yeah, if you were 15 years old, think of who your crush was when you were 15, and you got the chance to, like, be near them and maybe, like, eventually marry them. Just like, yeah, it's like she did the thing we all wanted to do, but she actually did it.
Exactly. But the thing is, like, so the things in common where she's, like, kind of almost stalking Selena Gomez's life, that is weird. I don't know. I can't speak on that.
Some of them are, like, okay, like, when they were like, oh, the quotes that they say, and it's just like, those are just boilerplate quotes, you know?
Yeah, yes. But I don't know. I just think, like, some of it is just, like, one of them could speak up, and that kind of bothers me. Like, when I see, like, Hailey Bieber, like, getting kind of, like, attacked on social media, I feel like Selena Gomez, like, maybe she spoke up for her, like, once, but I never really see her, like, speak up and be like, guys, like, please calm down.
I think they both kind of fan the flames a little bit.
Yeah, and without doing anything, they are. Yeah.
Also, I love Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco's relationship. He, like, this was a few months ago, I think, when he came out, and he was like, when I wake up in the morning, I think, like, what is something I could do that makes her life easier? And I know that she thinks the same thing about me. And I was like, wow.
I hope it's true. Sometimes I think when people are a little too, like, all over each other at first, sometimes I think it's inauthentic and it'll kind of fade.
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case for them. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
You know, like, I hope she's happy. Like, I really, it's kind of how I feel about, like, Lady Gaga or not finally, but, like, being in, you know, having that guy. I don't know his name. That guy.
Did you know her mom was like, that's going to be your husband?
We talked about it on the podcast before.
Moms
yeah, no, seriously. She, I hope she's, like, genuinely happy with him, and I hope it all works out. Like, but that's how I feel about Benny Blanco. I don't physically get it, but I think, like, he seems very nice, and they seem happy together, so I hope that stays, like, genuinely.
Yeah, for sure.
And I actually mean that. Like, I want I want celebrities who were famous as, like, young people and who are kind of, like, just in, like, really weird lives. I want them to, like, really end up with happiness.
Yeah.
You know?
I do too. But, like, speaking of pop stars, have you seen the videos from Katy Perry's tour?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm not a Katy Perry hater. I'll be honest, like, some of her songs are bops. Like, I honestly don't think about Katy Perry that much. Like, if her song comes out and I'm like, oh, that's good, and if it doesn't, I just feel like recently I've just been like, you're just really not hitting it.
But I forget, like, so at one point, she was, like, the most followed person on Instagram, which is still kind of I don't know if it's still the case, but at one point she was, and that's still, like, really mind-boggling to me, because sometimes I just, like, first of all, it's not, like, there's certain people who I could be like, yeah, I could see why you would follow it, but it's not, like, is she posting that great of photos? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't think, like, her presence on social media is all that great.
I don't know. Well, because Selena Gomez was for a while, and I remember being like, that's so random.
I just know Katy Perry was at one point.
Well, she was, like, one of the biggest pop stars in the world at one point.
She was, and I just forget that. Like,
I forget, too, and I think she's really tarnishing her reputation now.
It's almost like she can't find her new brand, I guess.
Yeah. It's I think part of it is, I mean, she's got to be, like, late 30s, early 40s, and I think, like, she just isn't, she's still marketing music to, like, a younger generation that she just isn't, like, in touch with anymore.
Right.
And I think if you don't have the right team, like, or if you aren't branching out culturally, like, I always say, like, look at Beyonce, for example. She's been making music for, like, 30 years and has never, like, lost touch with community. Because she's changed her community. She's changed, like, her branching and outreach and stuff. But, like, she just really has been looking like a fool, I'll be honest.
Yes, and it is kind of strange, like, to go back really quickly to what you're saying. Like, is it her, or is it, like, just not having a good team? Maybe she's not listening to a team? Like,
I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I think it's some, like, I think here's the thing. I think Katy Perry is actually like probably a very like nerdy kind of like she's like the weird girl in school who's also hot.
But she hasn't let go of that because that's like what was like in 2009 that was like hot and it was like but it's like she hasn't let go of like the mustache finger like millennial kind of humor I guess like not that was millennial humor at the time but I don't know how to phrase it. It's almost
it definitely was or like the I heart bacon.
Yeah, like that's kind of what she still is and it's like I don't know.
It's like she hasn't, and to clarify, she's done none of that on her tour. It's just like giving that vibe.
Exactly.
So as we mentioned before, she went up into space. Was it last week or the week
before?
Such
a hilarious statement. She went up into space. It was like 2 weeks ago at this point.
Released her set list in space. This feels like the plot line of Xenon.
Crazy that she released. It's crazy that her tour started directly. I was
thinking about that.
I would need at least 2 weeks to recover from space.
Someone was like, I was watching this TikTok where they were like, clearly she still hasn't recovered from her 10 minutes in space because what is she doing?
Yeah, like it's almost like, what if like an alien... Do you think she's going to try to say that? I almost feel like she is. She's going to at some point say like an alien got a hold of her while she was up there.
I don't think so. I'll be honest, doesn't seem like the kind of person who really like apologizes for her poor creative decisions. Which, okay, here's the thing.
And then would say sorry, not sorry. Like that phrase. Yeah.
Sometimes it makes me mad when we like hate on people like this. Not like we, but like collectively as a society. Because I'm like, she's just being like creatively... Like, she's expressing herself creatively. Sometimes it's going to hit, sometimes it's going to miss. It's just, when you're on that level, it's like your misses
the thing is, sometimes I feel bad, too. But then I'm like, if you are shoving yourself in front of people's faces, you do have to accept feedback.
Yeah, and it's crazy, like, you have, like, millions of dollars in resources and a team. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but I meant to say this earlier when we were talking about, like, how many followers she had on Instagram at one point. Like, obviously most followed, like... I didn't remember that until we posted like an audio clip and I'm not kidding, we got more like probably like we got so many views and like more likes and comments for that video alone and I was just like I forget like people really do love Katy Perry.
Yeah, the Katy Perry pops are out here.
Yeah.
The kitty catties. The
Katy Perry. That was her cat's name. Katy Perry.
Yeah, which is actually is very funny, but also imagine calling
Katy Perry
your cat like almost your name.
Yeah,
yeah, you just call it like, come here, Millie.
Oh, I could get a fish and call it like Millie Gilson.
Millie Gilly.
Aw.
Anyways, so to clarify, so she's on it's called like the Lifetimes tour, which is interesting because no one's talking about the fact that I'm like, this sounds exactly like the Eras tour. Like exactly like where it's just like, oh, here's my different albums, like I'm doing whatever. And like everyone's commenting on all the other cringe stuff, but I'm like, what about the fact that she's really like kind of ripping off Taylor Swift?
Yeah, wait, I didn't even think about that. Lifetimes. I'm sure people are pointing it out at some. Because the thing about Katy Perry is like she used to. I don't know if she still does, but at one point she had a feud with Taylor Swift.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she called her. They had a whole like fight, like a feud about Katy Perry's dancers. Oh, what was it? It was like, and I may be getting this a little bit wrong, so I'm sorry to fans if you're listening to either of them. Like, I could be getting this wrong. But they did have a feud at one point where I think, like, Taylor Swift had dancers and they were contracted to be on, like, Katy Perry's tour or something. It was something to do with their dancers, and Taylor Swift ended up, like, firing the dancer. But I could be wrong. That doesn't really sound like something she would do, so I don't know. But then Katy Perry, like got mad. They had like a feud because Katy Perry said like beware of like Regina George. Like she called her Regina George.
Oh.
And she was like calling her like a mean girl and stuff. And it was just kind of interesting. Something about like sheep in wolf's clothing, I think is what she called her. And like, then
Katy Perry made out with a hot dog.
Yeah. And like
one time.
It was just like really like it was just kind of wild. And I think they like got over it then. So I don't know if they're like okay with each other now. But at one point Katy Perry did not like Taylor Swift.
That's interesting. But like again, it just feels very like because she's like, oh, this is like I think it's like
it is weird, yeah.
But I think like it's interesting because the whole thing of her tour, like so the theme is like it's a video game and she's like going through these different stages and supposed to be like, you know, she's like collecting hearts like as a video game.
Ew.
And it's like the thing is, I'm like, that is like a interesting, cool, like narrative concept.
It sounds
for
ugly
a show.
to me. I hate to say it.
It's like the thing is, all of the stuff that it's like it sounds like it would be cool. It's the execution that is just like not bringing it forward.
Maybe because I know what it looks like already, that when I'm hearing that, I'm just like, But it almost sounds like the J-Lo, like, heart, like, being inside a heart or whatever in her documentary or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about
but that's like, I'm just thinking it just sounds like she's trying, because she's going for, like, a futuristic.
Yeah.
Maybe is that why she went to space? Was to, like, go with the theme?
Because it's all, like, space themed. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Like, the video game that she's in. And it's supposed to be, like, at the end of the tour, like, the whole thing is supposed to be, like, her character is, like, kind of unlocking her new album that's going to be announced on the last leg of the tour, which is so crazy. And the thing is, she's doing these things. She's doing, like, a very Pink style, like, acrobatics above the crowd. But whereas, like, Pink, I think, like, while she's singing, isn't really, like, flipping around. Like, she's pretty stable. Like, she's, like, singing.
She's, like, straight up. No, Pink would, like, zip line across the crowd, though.
But is it, like, while she's, like, singing? Because a lot of people complain. They're like, it's like Katy Perry's doing so much that she's, like, not able to sing. Like, it's a lot of lip syncing or, like, backtracking.
The thing with Pink, though, that was weird too was, like, there was no reason for her to be doing that. Her music did not equate to that kind of thing.
I think here's the thing: people who do those kind of what is the, like, acrobatic classes where it's like you literally have the
silk,
like the silk things, where people get obsessed with them. And I mean, it is a good workout. I'd die. It's
cool, but I'm just like, nobody else wants to see that, but maybe they think it's super fun, so they just, like, want to do it. That's true. Think about how cringy that is, though, that they're like, this is fun for me, so I'm gonna make everyone watch me do this.
Yeah, it does seem like something I would do. I'll be honest.
It's kind of like, like a kid is showing their parents, like, a dance they do, where it's like, everyone in the crowd's like, cool.
It's like when I forced you guys to watch Pride and Prejudice, and I was like, I love this, and so will you.
No, but that's, like, the most Katy Perry thing I've ever heard for her to do.
There's, like, a whole scene, like, thing where she's on this massive metallic butterfly, like, riding it like a horse over the crowd while singing. And it's just, like, and I think, like, part of the, like, also there's, like, these weird dance moves that she's doing that are really, like, cringe. And it's just, like, I've seen her dance in other instances and she dances fine. I'm like, why is she doing this?
Yeah, she's doing, like, a weird, like, robot. But, like, it is almost like somebody from space, like, is still inside her.
My favorite is when she takes, like, a fake lightsaber and beats an HVAC unit worm.
What?
It's supposed to look like a big alien worm, but it just looks like a big HVAC thing. Like, it's a tube that the dancers are, like, moving around on stage.
But, like, that's not funny. And that's the thing is, like, I think to her, like, this stuff is, like, funny. And it's just, you know what it is? It's almost, like, very, like, little boy humor is how that's how I would, like, she must be a great mom, but I think, like, I would describe Katy Perry as just like little boy humor.
And the thing is, like, this is a big creative jump. It just, I don't think, really landed. And it's like, it's almost like it could have been really cool if it's just like the execution isn't there. I think it's crazy also that she had cotton candy boots that were made out of real cotton candy.
What?
So she, like, reached down and ate, like, part of it.
Here's the thing, though. I'm like, as I'm thinking about it, what could she do with her music other than something like that? Because, like, her music is camp.
Yeah, because even, like, I was looking at the videos from her Vegas residency, and it was very, like, it kind of reminded me of, like, Hello Kitty, like, video game type of thing.
Yeah.
So, like, she is like that, but I think it just is people are already clowning on her for going to space. And then, like, 5 days later doing a space-themed tour and then fighting an HVAC monster. It's a
lot.
It's a lot. And again, take the creative chances, but, like, that's why, like, comics, they test out their new material before a big crowd.
You're right. Like, should she have gone to Coachella first?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But yeah, you're right. Like, maybe run that by somebody.
Yeah. It's interesting because you can tell, like, in terms of artists who, like, really listen to their team versus those who maybe it's, like, purely their own ideas. It reminds me.
I imagine this is a lot of her idea. Yeah.
It reminds me almost of, like, Stephenie Meyer, like, not to always bring it back to Twilight, but when,
it
like,
always comes back to Twilight.
Always. Like, the books kept getting longer and longer, and, like, then she wrote The Host, and, like, I think she just had too much power.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, you have to be able to take, like, the criticism to be like, yeah, you should cut this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think sometimes when you're just, like, too creatively powerful, it's almost worse because then people either are afraid to say something to you or, like, you don't accept their criticism, It
kind of reminds me of when you mentioned that. Like, I just thought about the 50 Shades of Grey author, where she got like way too involved in
and ruined it.
Yeah, and like that's why the movie is like so shitty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the books weren't great either, but I think they could have made the movie a lot better. But yeah, so I mean, good luck to her.
I'm sure. Do you think her tour, like, what do you think that venue looks like?
It looks from the videos, it looks pretty incredible. Like, it
well,
looks
no,
like
I mean, like audience wise.
Oh, I think it's like millennial white women.
But, like, do you think it's sold out, is what I'm saying?
I think, like, she's done okay, but I don't know, like, people are like, oh, she should cancel her tour, but I don't know if it's like J-Lo thing where she wasn't selling out. It looks like they're pretty full. Oh, also I was going to say, I will say I do like the aspect she did. It's like a choose your own adventure thing where, like, the last song that she sings, the crowd can, like, scan this QR code and vote on a song. Like, what song they want her to sing.
That's a lot of work, because I went to a Billy Joel concert, and he did the same thing, where he just was like, I don't know. He was like, just, you guys tell me what you want me to play, and he would, like, he would name out 2 songs, like, at, like, every, like, few songs, he would name 2 songs, and he would make the crowd, like, get, like, vote, and we would just yell it. Like, so whichever one got, like, the louder vote. That would be tough yelling. Well, like, whichever one got the bigger cheer was the one he played. So, like, it was very obvious.
Play Freebird!
Yeah. And he probably knew which one was gonna get the bigger cheer, you know? But, that's a better way than having to go on and vote.
Yeah.
But I guess she's doing, like, a video game thing. It's just interesting. I was just curious, like, what her ticket prices would be. Like, how much would you pay to go see Katy Perry tour?
$50?
Yeah. I guess.
I'll be honest.
I was looking at the set list and I'm like, yeah, she had some bops. Yeah. For sure.
Like, I bet it is fun. Like, E.T., I bet when that comes on, or Dark Horse, like, I bet that's absolutely lit. But.
Or Waking Up in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I will say I do hate, Hot and Cold and Roar. I
hate Roar.
I hate Roar.
Roar is such, like, retail music.
It's one of the worst things that's ever crossed my ears.
You're hot and you're cold. You're yes and you're no. You're in and you're out. You're up and you're down. You're wrong when it's right. It's black and it's white. We fight, we make.
Oh, break up.
We kiss, we make up.
You.
Okay. I got nervous all of a sudden.
We should do the concert. How much would you guys pay to hear us perform?
They would actually
call the police.
Rob us.
Yeah. They would be like, cuff them. But anyways, there's not a lot of people I would pay more than maybe like $50 to $60 to see. I'll be honest.
How much would you pay to see JoJo Siwa in concert?
I'll be honest. Well, okay, that one song she did, Karma. Is it Karma?
Yeah.
That's the only song I know, and it was okay.
It's not. Can I tell you something?
It was actually like a good like pop song. Like, if it hadn't been JoJo Siwa,
and it wasn't supposed to be hers. It was supposed to. There was some other singer that I forgot her name. Sorry to that singer, but she was, because, you know, music gets recycled. I think we talked about this on the podcast. Somebody else was supposed to sing it. Then it went to JoJo because JoJo decided she was grown enough to sing it.
What is JoJo's full name? Is it like Josephine?
You know what? I'm curious what it is.
Johanna?
I feel like it's Johanna.
Jomelia?
No, it is not what any of us thought.
It's probably like Hannah.
Well, it is a JoJo name.
Okay.
But it's Joelle Joni. That's cute.
Joelle Joni.
I would rather. Thing is, I don't really love the name JoJo. Like, I don't like that name.
All I think of is, do you remember JoJo from the movie RV?
Yeah.
I used to think she was so hot. I was like, I want to look with her.
I said Aquafina. Aquamarine. Remember she was an Aquamarine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think of JoJo Circus.
Who's that?
JoJo. It's JoJo Circus. It's the little clown from Playhouse Disney. It was a Playhouse Disney show. And I used to watch it every morning, and she was a little clown.
Yeah.
Named JoJo.
Wait, so what were you going to tell me about JoJo?
JoJo. Thought it was a good transition.
Siwa, JoJo.
Siwa's an interesting. I'm curious where that originates from. So we kind of talked a little bit about JoJo after the whole Big Brother thing with Mickey Rourke. And I don't know if we ever updated the podcast, but Mickey Rourke did get kicked off of
Isn't
Big
he
Brother.
Suing Big Brother? I think he
did.
is.
Yeah, I think you told me that. Yeah. Which, for what? He broke their rules. He said like horrible things. Anyway, so that was kind of our latest update. Maybe we already updated. I don't know. But Big Brother, I guess, just ended, which that's a pretty short show.
I don't know. I literally don't even know the premise of Big Brother. Like, I just know it's there.
So I don't know if you know this, but, well, I think I mentioned it with the Mickey Rourke thing, but JoJo Siwa has been in a relationship with Kath Ebbs.
That's crazy because both her first and last name sound like abbreviations.
Kath Ebbs. Yeah, you're right. imagine.
Like, I just need more rhythm in that.
Yeah. So, like, they were together. Her partner is non-binary.
Okay.
And she had mentioned that to Mickey Rourke, and that was when he was saying saying some crazy shit to her.
Go back and listen to our last episode.
Here's the thing. The whole entire time on Celebrity Big Brother, again, I don't watch this show. I'm just seeing these things like pop up, like really against my will. But I just thought it was a little interesting. So she's like,
you're like against my will, clicking on it, selecting play, watching the full clip.
Well, I wasn't, because it was actually a little cringy to me, because there's somebody in the house named Chris Hughes, and I
have heard about this.
So do you know who Chris Hughes is?
No.
Okay, I don't either. Okay, he's like from he's British, but he's from Love Island.
Okay.
And he was in the season. He and JoJo they were very touchy-feely. He would come up behind her and like hold her from behind, and they were just like very touchy-feely. And while JoJo was talking to him, and so people were kind of like, oh, they straight up are like, seem like they're like in a relationship. But meanwhile, she has a partner.
Yeah.
And so she is like, at one point she realized, she has this like epiphany while talking to Chris, that she is maybe not a lesbian, but she's bisexual. And he's like, yeah, you are. Yes. And she's like realizing this, and this is like a huge like breakthrough for her on Big Brother. Meanwhile, her partner's at home watching the show.
That would be, can they communicate with the outside world?
I don't think they can. I think they can get letters, because at one point she goes into like the little like room where they talk to the camera. I forgot what that's called. Like confessional. Yeah. She goes into the confessional, and she's like, man, like, I love that little sucker. And she's like she's talking about her partner. She says that like she got mail from her partner, but like her one thing is like, I didn't get any I love yous or sweethearts from them. And she's kind of like joking, but she's like upset. And she's like, man, like, I didn't even get an I love you. And everyone's like, yeah, because you're actively cheating on them in front of
I heard there was like
cameras.
A scene where it was like he was rubbing her feet in a hot tub. And
there
it was
kind
a
of
hot
like,
tub scene, and it was kind of like, well, you don't really do that with your friends.
No, and
like, imagine if I rubbed your foot in a hot tub. That'd be crazy.
He's very, like, they're very touchy, specifically him, very touchy-feely with her. Like, he'd come up behind her and, like,
do you think it's genuine?
Well, so she claims it was platonic, and they're just friends.
This is just like what I was saying on the Nathan Fielder show, where the Starbucks girl was like, oh, yeah, that customer, he took me to coffee, and he bought me a gold ankle bracelet, but we're just friends. He did it as a friend. It's like, nobody does that. Nobody rubs your feet in a hot tub as a friend.
And this isn't like a huge deal, but so JoJo Siwa's 21. He's like a lot older. I mean, he's like I think like 30.
But she loves older, doesn't she?
I think so, yeah. And why wouldn't she? Because again, she's only been around like grown-ups basically. Yeah. Like, she's not going to relate to people her age.
Yeah.
So that's that. I don't know how old her partner. Well, I don't know how old Kath Ebbs is, but that's like a whole thing. So people are kind of like, are they together? Like, what's going on? And also she has a partner back home. So she's like fully cheating on them in front of, like, on national television.
Yeah.
And so people were kind of like wondering what was going on with that. And literally after the show, Kath posts a video talking about how JoJo broke up with them literally less than 24 hours. No, sorry, not 24 hours. Like, literally right after the show. Like, after JoJo came back, she just broke up with them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then JoJo came back and said something like, that they did actually have like a talk, like they talked beforehand. But I don't know. I think like a lot of people are kind of like, I think we have to remember that JoJo Siwa is 21 years old and is just being a 21-year-old, but we're not seeing it like that. But I do think it was just like, but I'm just like, why are you on Big Brother, first of all?
It is very random. And also it's interesting. I think you and I had this discussion like years ago where it's like, what do you constitute as cheating? And I'm like, if you're doing something that you would feel like ashamed of your significant other knowing, then you're probably like, that would be cheating.
But imagine the humiliation of like, everybody knows you're in a relationship with this person. They announce on live TV that they realize they're not lesbian anymore.
Yeah. This sounds bad. I kind of want to watch this season now.
I know. Wait. I don't, because I just like, I really don't. It's like, I know I'm saying like, I don't care. And yet I'm sitting here like recapping their whole life story. But like, JoJo Siwa does kind of, she like really does irk me. Like I don't think I would want to watch a whole season of her.
This sounds bad. I think she enjoys like the messiness of relationships, but also she's 21, which is like not that crazy.
Have you seen that video? Her mom is filming her. This is when she's like 16 or something.
Okay.
Her mom is filming her. And she had just been in a relationship, but I guess, like, the girl cheated on her something, or she not cheated on her, but, like, she got broken up with, whatever. And, like, her mom is filming her, and she goes, "Why are you mad? Why are you mad?" And JoJo's like, "Because I got dumped." Or, no, she's like, "Because I got used, and I got lied to." And, like, the mom is filming her doing this, and, like, they're kind of laughing, but, like, JoJo's clearly, like, hurt. It's, like, the most cringe thing you will ever see. You have to look it up after this. She's like, "Because I got used, and I'm hurt." And, like, she's, like, almost crying, and it's, like, the most dramatic video, and I'm just, like, the thing is, I realize she has to go on Celebrity Big Brother, because, like, really, what else can she do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because she's gotten to this level of fame where it's, like, she was that...
She's famous, but, like, what? For what?
Well, she's famous for young kids, but she can't be that anymore because she's just older now,
Mary Pickford conundrum.
Yes, and then she's, like, rebranded herself so many times.
Yeah.
And
it's also, like, she's famous, now she's trying to be a musician, but, like, I don't think she'll ever really be taken seriously as a musician, so it's, like, what is it? Like, what is her next step?
And that's the thing, is she's never taken seriously, but she's also just kind of, like... I'm not, whatever, like, I think most people can, like, agree. She's got a very, like, obnoxious personality, so it's not, like, super, like, I wouldn't say she's, like, a super likable person. At least I don't see her as that. And then she's just, like, going on Celebrity Big Brother, and I'm just like, yeah, like, what else I saw an audition. She auditioned for the Tangled live-action movie, and her audition tape is, like, online.
Oh.
And it's awful, because she's not really an actor.
Yeah.
Because she kind of has that, like, little kid persona still. Like, she can't really ever let go of that. Because, again, you're famous. It's kind of like what you always say. Like, you're stuck in the age that you became famous in.
Right.
And so, I don't know. It's just, I'm curious where she'll go from here.
I don't know.
Maybe she'll have, like, a really great management team, and then she'll be able to do something else.
I think she has hopefully made some investments with her money that will grow, and then maybe she doesn't have to, like, do anything crazy.
Stay out of the public eye.
Yeah.
I think until then, I can see her doing, like, a lot of reality shows.
Oh, yeah, for sure. She'll be on the next season of Traitors.
Where she started, when you think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But I just had to talk about that. I had to give an update, because I thought it was so insane.
That is kind of
that everybody
crazy.
Watched your relationship just, like, unravel.
That's why, like, I would never date a famous person. Not that, like, they're knocking down my door to date me, but I'm just saying, like...
It'd be a lot.
And that's why I think, like, a lot of the relationships crumble, you know? Like, you have to have a really strong relationship foundation to survive, like, being in a relationship in the public eye, I think.
My, like, partner couldn't be, like, famous, because, like, otherwise you're getting so much hate, because people are just judging you...
Yeah.
And stalking you, and it would be so much.
But I want to discuss, why do you not want to do movie assignments anymore?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did I do something to offend you?
No.
Do you hate me?
No.
Okay, I'm just wondering, like, what, like, why?
Did you really hate Coneheads that much?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Honestly, Alexa, I'm actually shocked that you liked it.
It isn't usually my type of humor, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I watched it when I was a kid.
Saying. Oh, did you?
Yeah, like it was. That's why I was like surprised you hadn't watched it. I felt like it was on all the time.
I thought you. No, I
watched it recently again.
Okay,
but we had it like on like VHS.
Well, I thought the way you phrased it, you were just like, oh, it was on, so I was watching it. Like you had watched it for the first time.
Even Chris likes it, and he doesn't like.
Yeah, that surprises me.
It's like a cult classic. Like, it's so stupid. It's like, why? Well, like, it's surprising to me that you hated it that much, but you didn't hate Tammy and the T-Rex, you know?
But they were like, marketed to me differently. Because, like, with Ty, he was doing that as, like, a dare, like, this is so ridiculous, you guys are gonna, like, hate me for this. But I think you were genuinely, like, you'll think it's funny. And I just am surprised because, so here's the thing.
I feel like I haven't shown you anything that you've liked, ever.
So this is why, like, I do kind of want to be, like, I don't want to say, like, picky about it. And I do appreciate your recommendations. I think your show recommendations have been great. when you recommend shows to me, I'm trying to think back to all our movie assignments. You did Saving Private Ryan. That was a great movie.
Oh, yeah. Or also, I think you would like Brooklyn, which was also the one that was like...
Oh, yeah.
I have a list of the movie assignments where, like, this one I was like, this will just be fun. Like, this is just like a throwaway, whatever. I have ones that I think you would actually like.
But that's the thing is, like, so with Coneheads, you were like, I told you, I was like, I don't think the SNL sketch is funny.
I have never seen the SNL sketch. I didn't know it was like an SNL sketch.
Yeah, it's like Dan Aykroyd and like...
I didn't know SNL did like movies like that, I'll be real.
Really?
I just thought those were like movies with SNL people in them.
Oh yeah, a lot of sketches were like Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an SNL sketch.
Yeah, I learned that recently. As in when you told me that Coneheads was the worst rated SNL movie.
It and often is.
And what did you hate about it?
It's so annoying. And this is like what I was going to say about the sketches is like I find that voice, like the parental units, like I think that is so annoying.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like to have to suffer through a whole movie of it. Also,
I could tell like when you were texting me and you're like, I can't get the sound to work.
Yeah, the sound. Okay, that was not a lie. It was like everything was fighting.
I was like,
against
you don't
me.
have to. Like I could tell. I was like, I'll give you a different one, or like I'll let you take the L.
It wasn't on Tubi. It was like there was something called Coneheads, but it wasn't that movie. It and then luckily it was on YouTube. Yeah. And at first the sound wasn't working. We just had to fix it. Like something was like the surround sound. But anyway, I was going to say, too, you were like, oh, there's so many cameos. But it's like the cameos were like David Spade and Adam Sandler, who are like, I don't think they're funny. So it was just like all of it was like...
Parker Posey's in it.
Was she?
Who? Yeah. She's one of the high schoolers in it.
Oh, I didn't even notice her.
There's like a bunch of people that like... If you're not watching it for the first time, I think you would like see in the background that you'd be like, "Oh,
apparently
shit."
Ellen DeGeneres was in it.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't see her.
Yeah.
And Chris Farley's in it, but like, I don't know. It's just like it was so. I just was more than anything. I was really shocked that you like it. It's so not your humor.
Yeah.
Like
I guess
genuinely.
So. So I'm really sorry about Coneheads. I just was curious. Like
It's okay. It wasn't meant to be a confrontation.
I just didn't want you to be like,
I feel like you're so sad now, and this is making me sad. I don't mean to make you sad.
I want to, like, one of these days, I do want to show you something that you really love.
I want that to happen, too. No, not the right way. I can't say the right thing. I can't say the right thing.
I'm gonna cry.
Don't cry!
I feel like everyone else in the world I can recommend things to, and they're like, oh my god, you were so right, I love this. And I'm not saying that like against you.
Now.
I'm not saying that like against you.
I'm
both
like this attacking each other.
This is like I'm like I've never been in this situation.
But you know that it is partly because it's like I'm being forced. Sorry, I could just see your little eyes like over the microphone. I've never been in this situation. You recommend shows all the time. I'm watching Shogun now. I watched.
Oh yeah,
Beef.
I am glad you like. Oh yeah, Beef.
There was another one that I got into. Baby Reindeer.
Oh yeah.
Alexa, there are shows that I watch.
I do think after watching all the vampire stuff, I would be curious your opinions in general on Midnight Mass. I'm not going to assign it to you, but if you ever were like, I just need to like put something on.
Is that about vampires?
Yes.
Oh, God.
In like a interesting way.
Interesting. Well, please don't feel sad. I'm sad that this like hurt your feelings so bad. I was like,
I think it made me sad when I was like, when you said you wanted to stop movie assignments because of Coneheads. I was like, don't let Coneheads be the...
It was just that bad. Like, genuinely, I hated it.
I'm so sorry.
I liked the end of it, though, when they were like... Da, 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 da,
oh, yeah.
Da, 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 da.
I just think it's very funny. I also think
I did not think it was very funny. I do think
the teenage Conehead girl, I'm like, she's really pretty.
So pretty.
Like,
even
that
bald?
dome,
yeah. Whoa.
And I also will say the way they do the Coneheads, like, I was like literally pausing it and looking, I'm like, I cannot see where the cone and the skull stop. Like, they really did a good job with that prosthetic cone.
I did just meet the main detective in it.
I thought you were gonna say I did just meet a Conehead.
I did just meet him though.
When?
He was in Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of plays, so I saw Harvey.
Okay, I was gonna say, are we gonna talk about your movie?
Did you watch the trailer for Harvey?
No,
Harvey?
I didn't.
When we go downstairs, I'm gonna play it for you. It's just like this has nothing really to do with the film. It's just, like, I think the history of movie trailers is so interesting, where, like, watching that trailer, because it came out in, like, 1950-something, and I'm like, this is the most 1950s movie trailer I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cute.
Okay, I was gonna say, it'd be hilarious if you just, like, really shit on it right now. If you were just like, Molly, did I do something to offend you?
I will say, I think it could have been shorter, maybe, than it was. I don't
remember the length.
It's like not crazy long. It just like kind of goes. The thing is, I feel like a lot of like movies and plays and a lot of this time is just like a what is it? Like a where it's like people aren't hearing each other, and then it's like, oh, we've accidentally done this thing. A comedy of errors.
Fumbles. Yeah.
Comedy of errors, I think is what it's called. And that sometimes frustrates me because originally, like, you know, it's kind of like when you watch The Ring and you're like, this has been done before or whatever, but it's just been done so much where I'm like, just shut up and listen to this person fucking talk.
Yeah.
Like when they put the person, Vesta, I think her name is, like the sister, in the insane asylum, I'm like, why are you explaining it in the stupidest way I've ever heard anyone explain a situation? I'd also put you in an asylum.
Yeah.
But I think it was cute. I think it was an interesting, I've never seen, oh my god.
Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart. I've never seen him play a character like that.
That's what, like, drew me to it at the time, was I was just like, wow, this is such an interesting role for him.
I am curious because I think the play won a Pulitzer.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised. Like, it's a unique play, but I'm like, is it... I don't know.
It's just an interesting storyline. I think also, like, the acting in it, I thought, like, the sister won, the actress that played the sister won an Oscar for that movie. Like,
really?
Yeah, like, but I think, I mean, maybe again, I think, like, when we're forced to watch something, it's really hard for us to see things, but, like,
I didn't hate it. I will say it is one of those things where sometimes, like, especially during this time period, you can tell where you're like, this was a play.
Yes.
Where it's just like, oh, they basically just taken a play and, like, filmed it type of thing. But I think, like, there were parts that was funny. I actually enjoyed, like, it's a unique concept of just, like, this
and you
6
don't
foot
see
tall.
it, yeah.
You see it, like, the whole time I was like...
they do show it, don't they?
Well, I was like, God, I wish they would show this fucking rabbit.
Yeah.
And then eventually he gets, like, a painting done of him and the rabbit. And that's what... Yeah, which is so,
it's just so cute that, like, I felt like it really touched my heart when I, like, as a movie, it's just, like, a very heartwarming movie because... He, like, everybody's just, like, he's just, like, such a nice man, and everyone's nice to him, and they're just, like, accepting that he has this rabbit.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, really, like, it's just so strange, but, like, it's just a really sweet movie.
It is. I also love the house that they live in. It makes me laugh because the sister's like, oh, we have this old house. We know that it's old, but it's ours, and we love it. And I'm like, that is a multi-million-dollar home, man. Like, that is, y'all have some money. Which is, like, so ironic because the sister's like, no one will marry me because my uncle's crazy. And I'm like, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cute. But yeah, I'm curious, like, culturally, what was going on around that time.
Right.
I mean, it's probably like the Red Scare.
I think it's funny.
Maybe.
I don't know if, like, Donnie Darko has any kind of, like, relation to it, but it is funny that there's 2 movies where somebody has an imaginary tall rabbit.
And you know what? I will give it to Jimmy Stewart. I've never seen Donnie Darko, actually.
It's so scary. It's like a
People
very
love it.
disturbing
I've been
movie
wanting
to
to watch it for
I'm just scared of, like,
years.
things like that.
I will give it to Jimmy Stewart. He did a good job acting next to what was supposed to be a giant rabbit that wasn't actually there.
He's such a good actor. I really love him. Who do you think, if there was ever, like, if you lived in that time period, what actor do you think you would have had, like, a huge crush on?
Probably, like, Clint Eastwood. Well, I guess he's a little bit later.
Yeah.
Also, okay,
I would say Jimmy Stewart or Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, yes. Dick Van Dyke.
I am attracted to Dick Van Dyke.
Also, you know who is beautiful is Mary Tyler Moore.
Yes.
But also, I recently saw this is so random. It's like a thing of, like, Grace Kelly, like, from birth to now or whatever. And I was like, wow, Grace Kelly came out the womb hot.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it's like a picture of her as, like, a 2-year-old, and you're just like, that's the most beautiful 2-year-old I've ever seen.
Also, didn't she like didn't she end up being a princess?
Yeah, the Princess of Monaco,
which
is a whole plot line for in Gossip Girl, where Blair is supposed to be like the...
Oh, speaking of Gossip Girl, this is an interesting transition really quick.
Okay.
Did you know, so they made a sequel to A Simple Favor, I believe it's called.
Oh, yeah.
It's the one with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively.
I saw the first one, yeah.
I never saw it. Was it good?
It was okay. I was surprised it got, like, such a, like, reaction.
So they made a sequel.
Anna Kendrick really made it. I think Blake Lively, is kind of a deadpan actress. But.
She is not good. Like, I was watching the preview for this new movie, and it's like her acting is just so, it's like how I would have acted, like, in a, like, okay, this is a very, very specific thing to say, but when I, like, was a kid and I would act out things with my friends, like, say I was, like, we were playing and I was supposed to be, like, the mean girl or whatever, that's, like, how I acted.
Yeah.
Like, she acts like she's just, like, either in, like, a school play or, like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just not, to me, she's just not actually good.
Her character in A Simple Favor and Serena Vanderwoodson are very similar.
Really?
To me.
So she's probably just typecast, but it's just like she just plays. And I think as a teenager, almost like she was a better actor.
Yeah.
Like I think
and
about
Sister of the Traveling Pants.
Yeah, she was good. But maybe it's because we were kids and it's a kid movie.
Yeah,
so that,
I'd have to rewatch it.
Like I remember somebody saying, I remember her being in The Town. That's the one with Ben Affleck. And her acting in that is just not good compared to everybody else. There's like a scene that she's in with John Hamm.
It's like you can tell she's not like done crack, you know?
Right. Yes, and there's a scene that she does with John Hamm.
You're not an immersive actor.
No, and it's just like, just because your mascara is running does not make you... Also, in this new movie, her hair, it's just so like, you can tell she did her own hair for this movie because she was using that product. Like,
and here's the thing. I am like, if you have like big... curly, boisterous hair, that's fine. I think hers just, it doesn't look like she's brushed it a lot of the time.
No, but that's what that product is. It's like ruined. Like I think she thinks it looks good, but it just, to me, it looks really damaged.
Yeah, it looks like, I'm like, your hair looks really dry.
Like fried or something. I don't know. It just, but it's the same volume as she has in that one movie that she just did. What is it called?
It Ends With Us.
It Ends With Us.
that
little movie that maybe had like a little bit of a an audience, but anyway, I just had to say that came out, and apparently people think Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively don't get along, but then I don't know.
Oh, I don't think they do.
But then on the red carpet, they were like posing together, and people like, see, and people say they don't get along, and I'm like, well, they're on a red carpet together.
Yeah,
so
I don't think they really do. I don't think she gets along with a lot of her co-stars, really. Like, I think it's probably just like coworkers. Like, they're not like best friends or whatever.
She's like kind of mean to.
Right, yeah. But like speaking of remakes, so I won't like go too far into this, but I just want to say that like for the 20th anniversary of Pride and Prejudice, they were showing it in theaters, and I think like, and so when you were talking about like, what is it, Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah.
And about how like people are really excited to go see that. I'll be honest, Chris and I went to go see it last Wednesday, just kind of like a random day, and there were way more people in the movie theater than I thought there was going to be. And I will say I had to like check myself because I was like, wow, I wish these people would stop laughing at all these parts, or like, and I had to be like, they also love this movie just as much as I do, and I need to chill the fuck out.
Were people like freaking, like kind of like giggling, sort of like it was?
Yeah, when the hand clench happened, everyone was like, like it was like you could tell who was in this theater.
I just picture Chris just being like.
He actually seemed like he really enjoyed it because it is a funny movie. Like, and I was telling him that I was like, the thing is, like, people think like they're like, oh, it's Jane Austen, like they're like expecting some stupid like Bridgerton type of thing, and I'm like, no, I think Jane Austen was like literally a literary genius. Like, it isn't an entertaining story.
I didn't know it was a romance, or I thought it was a romance this whole time until you showed it to us, and you were like, it's a romantic comedy, but I never thought of it as that
because people, I think. It's hard sometimes to think of period pieces as being like funny, I think, but it's like it's very funny. And I honestly like teared up a little bit when it came on screen, like just like reading in the main thing. I really had to hold myself in. Like, again, I'm sitting here like rolling my eyes at all these like annoying like huge fans, and I'm literally like having to stop myself from whispering to Chris every 5 minutes like, okay, so when they did this scene, this is actually what's happening, or like 10,000 pounds a year actually equals this much in that time. Like he was like, I'm just trying to watch the movie. But I like literally teared up when it came onto screen. I just like thought, I was like, this movie really, like, I saw it when I was 10 years old, and I was like, I actually don't know who I would be without this movie.
Aww.
And it's interesting because, you know, I've been, like, we talk about all the time about, like, the annoyance of, like, remakes, or they're just, like, showing this movie again. But I'm like, you know, when I was 10, I didn't get to see it in theaters. And it's a beautiful film.
Yes.
It is, like, seeing it, like, on a screen like that, you're just like, wow, this is actually
a beautiful movie.
It is such a work of art. And I've recently been watching, like, they do, like, these AI videos where they're like, what if, like, Pride and Prejudice had been filmed like vertically or whatever, or like full screen. And it's like, yeah, it would have been insane. I would have had a stroke probably.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a beautiful movie. And I do think like just seeing how many people are doing, like, came to Titanic, Pride and Prejudice, Revenge of the Sith. I'm like, it actually is making money.
It is. And it's interesting because, Revenge of the Sith was re-released this weekend. And a lot of people, I actually feel kind of left out because it's one of Matthew's, like, favorite movies. Like, he loves Revenge of the Sith. And, like, we didn't go see it. And, like, because he was just busy the nights that they were showing it. And also, like, there's a drive-in movie theater in Goochland.
I did know that, yeah.
I hate that name so much.
Because I always want to go, but then I'm like, it's in Goochland.
But it's apparently, I was telling Matthew, and he's like, it's really not that far from us. And so they showed it 2 nights in a row. Shout out Cordy, friend of the pod. And she said that they were showing it Saturday night too. And I was like, oh, damn, I wish we had known because we like probably would have gone.
Yeah.
But it's just like a cool thing. Yeah. But this kind of ties into, I don't know if you heard, but the Netflix CEO, Ted Sarandos, came out recently, like the other day, and basically said, he's like really getting shit on because he said that the movie theater model is outdated and that most of the country cannot like walk to a theater, and he believes that the streamer is saving Hollywood, which I don't know if you've seen the last few Netflix movies.
Yeah.
We're talking about like the Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt movie that was like the most expensive movie ever made and I think did horribly.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you think that that's saving Hollywood? But it's like, it shows like, I mean, obviously, like, he really picked the bad time to say that because it's like Sinners came out.
Yeah.
That broke records or whatever. Did it break records? I don't know.
But, I think it has.
Yeah. And then obviously even just like Revenge of the Sith being re-released and it's done really well.
Yeah.
Like, people want to see, I think that if anything, that really shows that people want to go to the movies.
Right, but I will say, so I guess because Sinners came out, like every now and then like a big movie comes out where everyone, ever since COVID, they're like, people are returning to the movies.
Yeah.
And it becomes such a topic of discussion. But the big thing I think is not like, people still want to go to the movies and see movies. It's just so expensive. Like, we always go on discount day.
Yeah.
And honestly, like every now and then we go on not discount day and I'm like, I'm going to have a heart attack.
No, it is insane. Like the food, especially if you're at a theater where it's like food or even just like popcorn and the drinks, like it is crazy.
Yeah, Chris got 2 drinks. It was $38.
And the thing is, I think we're used to a point now too. I think a lot of people are expecting like, okay, a movie will come out in like 20 days to streaming, so you might as well just wait then. But that's not how it used to be. Like movies used to come out, and you'd have to wait like a couple months for it to come out on DVD. Yeah,
like 6 months at least.
Yeah, and like I remember like waiting for that and being like, but now it's like, it either comes out at the same time or it comes out right after.
Yeah.
And I just think, so, but I do understand, like, I think that was like a weird thing for him to say because I think like I agree with what you're saying. It is so expensive, but like, I want to see a movie in the movie theaters.
It is, I think if we weren't going on discount day where it's like $6, I probably wouldn't be seeing the movies as much as we are. But because it's like we go on discount day and it's $6, I'm like, it's $6.
But I think like people,
it is. I will be very sad. Like I was driving past like the Newtown movie theater the other day, and I was like, what would we do if this movie theater went out of business? And it's like, I don't even go to this movie theater, but it's like such a staple because I think like going to the movies, it's just an experience.
Yeah.
That's actually one thing I was going to say about Ryan Coogler. He was like, one of the reasons he was like, I love movies, or like it kind of ties back, is he was like, I learned that my grandparents, their first date was a movie. And he was like, yeah, my grandpa was trying to like, make out with her. And my grandma was like, I'm actually trying to watch the film. Which I just think is, and he's like, and now here I am like making movies. And I'm just like, it's just like, it's what people have always done.
Yeah, I just think I disagree with this term outdated because I think yes, you're right. Like we do go on like Value Tuesdays or whatever, but I think like certain movies I will still like there's times where we still go on it's not
we paid
we would
IMAX
not be
for
going.
Dune.
Yeah, we would not be going as much. You're right.
Yeah.
But for certain movies like Sinners, we probably would have gone on a Saturday or something, And
that's why like whenever like you mentioned, what's the movie you want to see? Troubles?
Thunderbolts.
Where you were like, no one wants to see it with me. I was like, I'll see it with you if we go on a Tuesday. I'm like, it's $6.
Yeah.
Like I would spend that. If we were going on a regular day and it's $14, I'd probably be like, yeah, maybe not. You know?
Now, Mission Impossible.
I haven't seen the others.
But Chris likes them.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible I will be seeing in IMAX.
Okay.
That is just a fact. Oh, I have him an IMAX gift card. Or, sorry, an AMC gift card.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Courtesy of you.
That I gave you like 3 months after you bought it. Actually, like 6 months.
I still haven't used it, so.
Yeah. But I think that's pretty much all we had tonight.
We really thought, we were like, we don't have that many topics to talk about, yet we talked for 2 hours.
I do think it's like a curse. Every time we say that we don't have a lot to talk about, we end up talking way more than when we do have like a bunch of topics.
Really? Have we ever like run out of or not run out of time, but have we ever like been like, oh, I don't know what to say? Like, I think,
I'll be honest, there's never a moment in my life where I've ran out of things to talk about.
And that's what I really like about you.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's what I love about you, because like you will fill a silence.
I will. When we used to run the work meetings at work and no one would say anything, I was like, I'm about to say the most absurd shit. Just to fill this silence, I will do anything. During grad school, I would have done none of the reading. No one else is answering the questions. Guess who's talking the entire class?
Sometimes
it was me.
Guess who's talking.
And like you could tell, sometimes the professor would be like, giving me a look like, has she read this?
This is why you and Matthew really are the same person, though. We say that all the time, but like Matthew's like that too. He will fill a silence, and I'm like, you don't always have to be the one talking.
Yeah. Chris does that too. We'll be in the car. We driving places, and Chris is comfortable with silence. I am not.
Yeah.
And I will be like, so what do you think it feels like when you're buried and in the ground?
No.
He's like, we can just sit here quietly.
Yeah. Matthew doesn't do that with me. Like, we can sit comfortably in silence, but like when he's like around other people, like if there's anything of silence in a conversation, like he will fill it. But I was going to say, I think the first time I ever really, truly realized that with you was we were coming back from DC, and it was like you, me, and Chris were in the car. And I'm not kidding. You did not stop talking the whole ride, to the point, though, where you were literally looking around and reading things off of trucks driving by. You were just reading things. And like Chris and I would just be like, what? And you were just like...
I physically can't stop myself from reading.
It's like you play I Spy, but just like with yourself.
There's nothing I love more than a good street sign. I'll be honest, like
you're already talking and then you interrupt yourself to be like, oh, like magic, whatever, like what is that? And then you're on to the next truck.
Chris says, he's like, I see them before you do, and I know which ones you're gonna read. He's like, that's a good Alexa sign. She's gonna read that one out. I don't know what it is. I just love that.
But it's kind of like, again, it's like my mom, like Matthew, the three of you are like the Holy Trinity to
Imagine
me.
us on a car ride together.
I don't know who would be the one really talking. I don't know.
Who would come out on top?
I actually kind of want to see that as like a challenge.
Yeah.
Send you guys on a road trip.
Ooh, that actually would be fun. Like,
but it's me,
challenge.
So it has to be the four of us, and it has to be me trying to get a word.
That's our new reality show. We call it Talk Talk.
Talk Talk.
Yeah.
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 I like that.
Keep that in the bank. TM.
Anyway, it's not TM because there is a song called that, isn't it?
TM for the show that we're gonna do, but only with me, Molly's husband, and her mom.
Yes, love that. I really like that idea.
Molly's Holy Trinity.
That's what I call the three of you in my head. Because I don't know where one starts and one ends.
And it's just like you and Chris like in a van with the like watching the cameras. With the headphones on.
And now Alexa is looking at a street sign. Oh God, she's gonna go in for the kill.
Alexa's once again brought up death.
My mom has also brought up death.
Yeah, your mom's just like, anyways,
I love it.
Thank you again for listening. As always, please follow us on Instagram at Poppin' Podcast. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Please share with your friends. We always want more friends. What?
I was trying to say things at the same time as
I could tell. I think you said Franz.
I was gonna say followers.
Oh,
Franz.
Well, also followers. And we'll see you next time. Bye.